Hello, and thank you very much for tuning in for another week of education. Remember, in my videos, I explain the science in a very simple way so that you can understand some, concept that might appear a little bit complicated, but do influence your day to day. And if you want to optimize your health, then I recommend that you tune in and you listen to the videos on my channel. Today, I want to concentrate on a process that's called sarcopenia, and I want to explain it exactly in very simple terms and what you can do actually to kind of combat it as well. So, as we get older, it feels like our metabolism, just slows down. So most people blame the age or the hormones, but there is a hidden biological process happening under the surface that almost no one talks about, right? And that's called sarcopenia. So in very simple term, again, it's a gradual leaking of muscle mass. And it starts at as early as you're 30 years old, right? But here's the thing, muscle isn't just about looking fit or going to the gym. In the functional medicine, muscle is viewed as your metabolic body armor. And that's a primary shield that protects you from the two biggest drivers of disease, which are chronic inflammation and insulin resistance. And I've got two videos there because I've covered those two topics as well in the past if you want to dig deeper into them. And the thing with sarcopenia is that as you get older, then it gets worse if you don't do anything about it. So it's quite important that you lose a lot of muscles, and then you might have some issues with regards to, as you're older, being more frail, having more falls, and it can be quite damaging as well for how healthy you are in your older years as well. So to understand why losing muscle is dangerous, we have to look at how our body handles the energy, right? Think of your muscles as a giant kind of, glucose sponge. So when you eat a meal, the glucose enters your bloodstream, and then your muscles are responsible for soaking up for about 80% of that glucose. So if your sponges are large and healthy, then your blood sugar just stays stable. But with sarcopenia, your sponges get smaller and smaller. And suddenly, that same bowl of rice or piece of fruit has nowhere to go. The sugar stays in your blood, your insulin spikes higher to compensate, and you begin the slide toward insulin resistance. You aren't just losing strength, you're losing your body's ability to process fuel. Now you might think, if I eat protein, I should be fine, right? But there is a catch. As we age, our muscle develops something called anabolic resistance. Imagine the door to your muscle cells as a lock, right? When you're 20 years old, the lock is very well oiled. A little bit of protein opens the door to build muscle. But as you get older, that lock gets really rusty. The science shows that a small snack of 5 or 10 grams of protein simply isn't enough to turn that rusty key anymore when you get older. So to actually signal the body to maintain muscle, the literature suggests we need a threshold, usually around 25 to 30 grams of high quality protein in a single setting, the trigger to the building process. Now, if you aren't, hitting that threshold, the door stays locked and the muscle continues to leak away. But here's the most beautiful part of the science. Muscle is actually an endocrine organ. So it's a gland that produces medicine. When you contract your muscle, they release tiny molecules called myokines. Think of these as your body's natural anti-inflammatory shots, right? Those myokines travel through your blood to your brain, your liver, and even your fat cells. The literature tell your immune system to just calm down and lower your systemic inflammation. When we lose that muscle, we lose our internal pharmacy. So we lose our natural ability to fight the slow burn of inflammation that leads to chronic disease. So the take home is this. What we need to do is to stop looking at muscle as an aesthetic goal and start seeing it as a longevity savings account. Sarcopenia is a tax on that account almost, but it's a tax that we can actually influence by understanding that glucose sponge and the rusty lock. Then we can make better choice about how we nourish ourselves to protect our health for the next 30, 40 or 50 years, right? So it's not about being a bodybuilder, it's about being metabolically resilient. And if there's a few tips I can also give you is to obviously eat the right amount of protein as well for you, which we're covering in different videos as well. And again, it depends on your age, it depends on your gender, it depends on your weight also, but it's very important to hit the right amount of protein as well for you. And the other thing that you have to do also is like resistance training. Resistance training is something you should always be doing, right? Again, not to be a bodybuilder, but to ensure that you work on your muscles to maintain the muscle mass that you have. As you get older, it is even more important once you pass 30, 40, and 50. It's extremely important to carry on doing a lot of resistance training as well, more than cardio. Cardio is good, but yeah, resistance training is something I should be doing. So my kind of, the takeaway as well there is, again, have the right amount of protein and maintain also a lot of resistance training as well. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've learned at least one thing today, and if you have, and if you want to share it to someone who could benefit as well from it, please do so. And I thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to talk to you later.